We are back and we are talking Weinstein. We're going right out to Brian Buckmire, who was in the courtroom for some of the jury readback and is now on the street. I hope they're not taking you away with all those noises, those sirens, Brian Buckmire, because you have to tell us, what's the latest dust up in the courtroom that we heard since an hour ago?
How you doing, Linda? The latest is that the jury came back with a note, two-part in its note. First, it was asking for the emails between Harvey Weinstein and Mimi Haley. Now, the judge made a ruling in the favor of the defense. The prosecution was saying that only two of the emails, those personally addressed by Harvey Weinstein to Mimi Haley, should be given. However, the defense gave a more broader interpretation and said any emails or correspondence between Harvey Weinstein and Mimi Haley, even from the Harvey Weinstein group, should be given based on the actual note that was given. Now, the judge said that over the prosecution's strenuous objection, that they read it too narrowly and instead agreed with the defense. The defense seemed to be very happy about this minor victory. The other was a readback, a full readback of Mimi Haley's testimony. They gave the direct, the cross-examination, the redirect, the recross, the redirect. It went back and forth until all the testimony was given. Now, right off the bat, when we started off, it was a chilly courtroom. Donna Rotuno had asked for the windows to be closed. The judge disagreed. It wasn't until the jury actually showed up and they said they were cold that the windows were actually closed. It was a bit of a chuckle going on at that time. However, there was a renewed objection as to Juror 11. Juror 11, if you recall, is the juror who was said to have been seen reading a predatory assault or sexual assault book. Now, the renewed objection was that they did not ask the proper questions of this juror because they're trying to get rid of the juror. And my anticipation, Linda, would be that they're fishing for that first alternate, which is an older white male.
So, Brian, let me ask you this. You said Donna Rotuno had a little dust up with the judge. Jesse reported to us that indeed she asked the window to be closed because she was freezing, and then the judge did not, refused, and she said something to the effect of, well, can't you do one thing for us? And the judge then mimicked her, I can't do one thing for you. Do you think that little escapade there, that little back and forth, calls the judge to take now what they're saying seriously with regard to giving the emails to the jury, all the emails?
It may be, Linda. It's like any kind of sports analogy you might give. You're talking to the ref, you get a bad call. You're going to try to see if you can remind the judge or the ref, hey, you gave me a bad call this time. Can you give me a good one the next time? I definitely think that this email argument as to getting the wider breadth of emails is a bit of a win for the defense. They definitely turned around after the decision was made with a big smile.
And what is in the emails that you remember that's particularly important, Brian?
So the emails kind of go along with the defense's arguments that there was continued communication between Harvey Weinstein directly, but also his group, inviting Mimi Haley to events or coordinating meetings between the two. What the prosecution wants to do is narrowly have just the emails between Harvey and Mimi Haley. That might not be as salacious as the defense wants. The defense wants all of the emails showing that Mimi Haley had continued a contact with Harvey Weinstein and his company to try to gain some sort of benefit. So I think the wider breadth of emails definitely helped the defense's argument.
And Brian, you said that they had a full readback of Mimi Haley's testimony, both the direct exam by the prosecutor, the cross by the defense, and any redirects that occurred. The jurors, after they heard those readbacks, one, did you see any reaction? And two, are there any particular jurors that seem interested, and what's the reaction from the whole panel?
Yeah, so by and large, the jurors seem to be fading. I think it's been a long time for everyone. When they asked for all of the readbacks, I think they were looking for specific parts of it, but they kind of wanted to just hear everything. So there were parts of the readbacks that were probably not as interesting, that they kind of just drifted away, but there were also parts that were very salacious, very hard-hitting, especially around the time of the alleged allegation. And so there you would see a few jurors kind of feverishly writing to keep notes, obviously to bring back to the jury room.
Did you make a note of what jurors were keeping notes to go? And I assume they're keeping them to go back in and argue for their side, whatever side that is.
So I just stepped out momentarily. I'm assuming they're going to be going down for lunch any moment soon, so probably start back up again in the afternoon.
What was the nature, Brian, of the two jurors who were doing the feverish writing? Was it the foreperson or were the two other jurors? And could you tell us the sexes and the approximate ages? Were they young, older? You know, give us your ballpark guess, or your football park guess, I guess.
So it was some of the men actually writing down. I think it's the older Caucasian gentleman somewhere in the middle of the front row, as well as another in the far, if I'm looking at the far left. And I think I saw the one in the back also writing down a little bit as well. I saw one of the women, I think juror number 11, kind of holding her chest, almost like kind of stereotypically saying like clutching her pearls during some of the allegations of forcing her, her being Mimi Haley, down to the bed and pressing his weight against her. Other than that, I saw some notes that you think that say, all right, I can see it going for the defense. Okay, I can see it going for the prosecution. I think at this point, it's anyone's game.
But the fading is something I want to go into because Mimi Haley is only in counts 1 and 2 of the indictment. The other parts of the indictment, I believe, are Jessica Mann, 3, 4, and 5. Are you suggesting that they're maybe only on Mimi Haley and they're already fading and they're already having trouble deciding that?
So I think that most people will say that the testimony from Mimi Haley and Annabella Escora, who's also connected to count 1 and count 3, the predatory sexual assaults, those are the ones that people are really focused on. Jessica Mann, either one of two things are happening, Linda. Either they've already decided and they're going straight to Mimi Haley, which might have some more to kind of bite their teeth into, or they're just going in order. They're going from the first count to the second count, down to third, fourth, and fifth chronologically. So either one I think would be a good guess.
Now, Juror 11 is the same juror that the defense has been objecting to since the inception or impaneling of this juror because she apparently posted a review on a public site dealing with reviewing of books about a book that's, I think it's about to come out, about a younger woman who has a sexual relationship with a teacher at a school. And then she's reading another book, a French book, and she also wrote a book on some type of assault. So when you say that she's clutching her pearls, what exactly did you see that makes you think that? And do you think the defense is now going to come back again trying to get her removed?
Well, I'm not sure if anyone noted it. I simply just saw her kind of just touching her upper chest during some of the testimony when they were describing Mimi Haley being pushed to the bed and then being held down by Harvey Weinstein. But it was only a brief reaction. It's testimony they've already heard before, but I definitely saw somewhat of a reaction from her.
Okay, so Brian, given the fact that you saw reaction, I assume the paid trial attorneys will also have seen it. But one thing I want to ask you, I think there's been a lot of confusion about what are the actual 5 counts in the indictment and who they apply to. Could you go through that with us again?
Yeah, so I think the easiest way to think of Annabella Escora would be, instead of like a Molyneux witness, think of her as like an enhancing witness, even though it's not a legal term. The first charge is to predatory assault as applied to Mimi Haley, with Annabella Escora kind of enhancing, because you need more than one alleged victim to get that predatory status. The second would be criminal sex act in the first degree. That only applies to Mimi Haley. Now, the third count, again, is the predatory sexual assault, but that applies to Jessica Mann, and then again being enhanced by Annabella Escora. The fourth and fifth count only apply to Jessica Mann, the fourth count and fifth count being rape in the first degree and then in the third degree, respectively.
Thank you, Brian. We see that maybe Gloria Allred is about to give a presser. We know you don't want to miss it, so we're going to let you go, and hopefully you'll come back later on today.
I'll see you later, Linda. Thank you.
Thank you.